Just had to buy a new laptop for DJing because I brought this because of the DJ, so I'm not a proper DJ because I use a laptop and I use this MSI Geforce sound card here with two outputs and go directly into two channels on this desk instead of using a controller. So, got myself a controller, but this controller doesn't work with that laptop because that laptop there is on Windows 7 Pro because I don't like Windows 10. Well, it was because it likes to do automatic updates and stuff which I can't control because it decides that you can't turn them off. The problem is this is more modern than the version of Virtual DJ that's on here because this is Virtual DJ 2020. Because after Virtual DJ 2020, I've got a Pro Virtual DJ license, which basically means I paid them 250 quid some time ago and I can update it to whatever version I want, if I want, and it doesn't cost me any extra. So basically I could put the latest version on it, but I can't put the latest version on it because as of the 2021 version, when they introduced stems, you needed to have a Windows 10 upwards laptop, and obviously that's not a Windows 10 laptop. I can put Windows 10 on that laptop, but that laptop is very old. Well, I've got another laptop the same as that, which is my office laptop, and it's got Windows 10 on it, so basically I upgraded that to the latest version of Virtual DJ 2025. And I tried it with this controller and stems. It works with the controller, but the stems, it's not having it because it's got a really old graphics card. Now, Virtual DJ say the minimum requirement graphics card wise to run stems on Virtual DJ 2025 is a Nvidia Geforce RTX4060, which that's just quite old technology now. So, cut a long story short, I brought this. This has got an RTX 4060 graphics card in it. It's got an i7 processor and it comes with 16 gig of RAM and Windows 11 and a shiny keyboard. But why did I buy this? Which brings up a question, which is, are gaming laptops a scam? And the reason I say this, I was looking online at laptops. There's a company called PC Specialist which can build you a custom DJ laptop. So I thought I'd go have a look, but it turns out, obviously with laptops, when you buy a laptop, your GPU and your CPU, you're kind of stuck with what you've got in it. So you put all your budget into your processor and into your graphics card because you can't change them like you can in a desktop PC. But you can upgrade the memory up to its capacity, but you can upgrade the memory, you could upgrade the hard drive, but obviously you can't upgrade the processor or the GPU, so you want to buy the best GPU and processor you can at the time of buying. So on the PC Specialist website, they got a couple of, well, they've got an entry-level gaming laptop which starts at about 600 and something quid, but it doesn't start at 600 and something quid because you don't get anything for that. You still have to put bits on it. The maximum GPU you can put in that one is the RTX 3050, which as I say, it's quite a few series back, but they do a pro version of that laptop series which obviously starts at about 800 something quid, but that's still not 800 something quid because that just gets you the bare bones and you still got to put stuff in it. That one will go up to an RTX 5050, and so I spec'd it out. RTX 5050 graphics card, i7 processor. Basically in the pro version of that laptop you can only have the one i7 processor, whereas in the entry level one you could have an i5 or an i7, but there was only a choice of two processors. So basically what they are doing is they've already got a laptop and it comes with a processor and a GPU in it, and then they just put the memory and the hard drive in it and then pretend it's a custom PC. So I thought, well, what I could do is I could just basically do that myself. I could go and buy a laptop that's got a good GPU and a good CPU and then put the RAM and the hard drive which I require in it. But anyway, obviously I spec this out and I choose the i7 processor because that was the only processor option, and I chose the RTX 5050 GPU because that was the only graphics card option. 32 gigabyte of RAM, which I believe is a DDR5 RAM, but it's a slow one. It's like a DDR5 200, which I think is the fastest one they do on that particular series of laptop. This laptop here, what I've got here, my old laptop, what I've got in this is I've got 2 terabyte drives, but they're spinny drives, they're old school ones. So basically one's the main drive, 2 terabyte, that's got Windows on it and it's got music and video on it, and then I've got a second one in the, which what was the CD bay in a caddy, which is another 2TB drive, and that's got more music on it. I've probably used about 3 terabytes altogether, so I've still got another terabyte capacity, and obviously you can upgrade those to a bigger drive. They're spinny drives. In the modern gaming laptops now, they've got these M.2 drives, which are basically a PCI Express SSD. So they're a lot smaller. They've got no moving parts, so less likely to break, and they access read and write a lot quicker. I need 4 terabyte, and basically spec'd it with a 4 terabyte M.2 SSD, and I believe it also comes with Windows 11 Home, but I upgraded that to Windows 11 Pro, and I think it worked out about 1,300 quid. I thought, well, this sounds really good, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at, you know, what you could buy off the shelf. So I started looking at MSI gaming laptops, and obviously they kind of start a bit lower spec, but then you can add stuff to them. But when you start adding stuff to them, you start getting in the same ballpark figure. So I'm thinking I should probably just buy the PC specialist laptop, and then I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll just go into Curry's PC World, or whatever it is they fancy calling themselves, and there was an MSI laptop in there. It was it got a 3050 RTX graphics card in it, which will do the job. Obviously, it's not the latest, but it will do the job. It comes with 16GB of RAM, and it comes with an i5 processor. But I thought, well, I can upgrade the RAM, and I could put 4 terabyte hard drive in it, because it started at £600 and something, and it'll probably be about under £1,000, and you know, probably do what I need to do. So I went in there to have a look at it, and they've got no system to where they put all the display laptops in there, so you walk around the shop trying to find it. Eventually I found it, and some kids playing on it, so I had to kind of wait. Anyway, I started talking to the sales rep, and to give him his due, I don't want to get him sacked from PC World, but basically he said, I won't buy a laptop, just, you know, buy a desktop. And what I've got a 4U rack case, because I used to run rack PCs when I first started DJing on computers, and obviously it's big and heavy, and I went over to laptops when laptops become more capable. But in the rack PC, obviously you can put what you like in it, whereas in a laptop there are limitations, and the limitations come on the graphics cards, and they don't tell you this, but that laptop what I looked at in PC World, the RTX 3050 graphics card, that has a power consumption of up to 75 watts. So basically, when that's running at full tilt, that could draw up to 75 watts of power. That laptop's got a limit of 45 watts on the GPU. So that GPU is not an RTX 3050. Well, it is an RTX 3050, but it can't do RTX 3050 things. So basically, it's a bag of shit. Obviously doing some research, and I went on the MSI website, and you can actually look at all the different laptops they do, and it will tell you what the power limit is set for the GPU. This one here, Crosshair from MSI, and this comes with a 4060 RTX graphics card in it. Now they'd also done this laptop with the 4070 graphics card, and it obviously costs more money. Now the 4060 RTX graphics card, if you go on the Nvidia website, that power consumption of that graphics card at full tilt is 150 watts. This laptop limits the GPU to 140 watts. So basically, this RTX 4060 can nearly, I mean, get like 95%, possibly more, of its power. So it's almost as fast as it'll be in a desktop. The 4070, which is obviously a faster card than the 4060, because what I've learned is the second 2 digits are kind of the speed. Because I made a big mistake, because I tried to spec a rack PC, right, and I priced it up with a 5050, which is like kind of the latest series, and then I realised that the second 2 numbers were the speed, and I spec'd it up with a 5090 in it, and the graphics card was £2,500. So yeah, I didn't do that. So yeah, the 4070 in the same laptop is obviously more money, but the 4070, according to Nvidia, that requires 200 watts of power, but it's still limited in this laptop to 140 watts. So basically, this laptop with a 4060 GPU or a 4070 GPU, the GPU is exactly the same speed, except the 4070 you're paying more for it. What you can also get is you can get a MSI Sword laptop, And the MSI Sword laptop also comes with the option of the 4060 in it. I think it might come with 4070 as well, right? And it's about 200 or 300 quid less than this one, depending where you get it, right? Spec-wise, it's got the same processor, it's got the same GPU, it's got the same RAM, and it looks like it's the same chassis. So basically, it's the same laptop. So, Simon, why didn't you just buy a fucking Sword, right? Because the Sword you can get for like under £1,000, and that's like a £1,500 laptop. Well, let me tell you, right, on the Sword, the GPU, they have limited the power on the GPU to 115 watts. But on this one, it's obviously limited to 140 watts, and it's a 150 watt GPU. So basically, this one, it nearly gets full whack. On the Sword, it can't get, it can probably only run like 2/3 of its power. But it's the same laptop, right? So it's not for thermal reasons, because it's the same laptop with the same cooling system, the same chassis, the same everything else, right? So the only reason the power is limited to 115 watts on the Sword compared to 140 watts on this laptop is so you pay £300 more and get this one instead of the Sword. And that is why gaming laptops are a scam. The biggest scam is basically the 50 series. The 5050 GPU is probably only slightly faster, if not possibly slower, than a 4060 GPU, because obviously the second two numbers are 60 on the 4060 and the 50 on the 5050, which basically means it's got a kind of performance difference. But obviously the 50 series is a later series. But the thing is, if you got anything over, say, a 5060 on the later series, it's obviously going to run faster than a 4060. And then, in my opinion, if they're limiting power on the laptop for thermal reasons, anything over 5050, you're not going to be able to put it in a laptop and use it. So basically, you could get a 5090 in a laptop, but it's going to be a 5050 performance because the power is going to be limited for thermal reasons. So this laptop here, the MSI Crosshair, it's a 16HX, it's 16 gig of RAM, it's an i7 processor with 20 odd cores in it. It's got the RTX4060 graphics card. It comes with a terabyte hard drive, which I'm going to be taking out and putting a 4 terabyte in. Well, actually I'm not going to take it out because it's got two bays, so I'm going to put a 4 terabyte in next to it, so it'll be basically 5 terabytes of storage, which will be plenty of storage. And the 16 gig of RAM, well, that's 2 8s, so basically that'll have to be chucked away if I want to upgrade, and I'm going to put 32 in, which will be 2 16s. This came with Windows 11 Home Edition. I would have liked Pro, but obviously it doesn't come with Pro. I could put Pro on it, but obviously I have to buy a complete license for that. So the retail value on this laptop is about 1,500 quid. But there's a company called Laptops Direct, and they basically sell this for like 1,200 quid. And obviously I looked, I was going to get it, but I looked on eBay, and there was a shop called Apple Squad, based down somewhere near London, and they basically got this one, boxed, brand new, sealed, not open, right? So obviously a new laptop, and they were selling it for like £1,100. So I thought, yeah, buy that before somebody else does. So yeah, this cost me £1,100. It should have cost me like £1,600. And on eBay there was also a company over Manchester way, which they call themselves Curry's End of Line, but I'm pretty sure they're not actually Curry's. And they got the Sword in the same spec, but not the same spec because it got limited power on the GPU. They were selling that for like £960, but obviously it was worth paying the £150 extra to not have the GPU limited. Yes, I think you can get software so you can basically overclock it, but I didn't want to risk £150 and, you know, not be able to do that. So anyway, obviously the Windows install, what comes on this, comes with a load of bloatware shit, because it always does, right? And I set the laptop up, not with the control, just with its inbuilt sound, and I was getting latency issues, like the audio sort of stuttering every sort of so often on the inbuilt sound card with a what's supposed to be a 1,500 quid gaming laptop, right, with an i7 processor with 20 cores in it, 16 gig of RAM and fast GPU. Now the reason that's happening is something going on in the background with the bloatware version of Windows they installed on it, or a driver issue, and obviously not entirely sure which one it was. So what I've decided to do is I went onto Microsoft website and I downloaded a USB driver image file thingamabob of Windows 11, and then I've attempted to do a reinstall, which yeah, that was fun. So to reinstall Windows 11 on your laptop, what you need to do is you need to download a USB file from Microsoft website, stick your USB in it, turn the computer off, boot, get the BIOS screen up, tell it to boot from the USB, install Windows, off you go. Yeah, no, the first thing is because it's got fast boot enabled, you can't get the BIOS from boot up. You push the buttons all you like and it just still goes into Windows. So what you need to do is you need to go into Windows, and then you need to go to the shutdown menu, and then you need to choose restart. But at the same time as hitting the restart button, what you need to do at the same time is you need to hold down the shift button, and then what it will do is it will restart to a screen which will give you the option to boot from a USB or to go into the BIOS, right? And so I basically did that, and I said reboot from the USB. So it rebooted from the USB. It started doing the Windows 11 installation. So it asked me, you know, where I'm from, England, what language do I speak? Well, English, because I'm from England. Right, and then it says, let's have a look at what hard drives you've got so you can see where you can install it. And it come along and it says, you haven't got a hard drive. You've only got a USB drive. And I'm like, no, there's definitely a hard drive in this computer. So then it's got a little help thing what sort of says why haven't I got a hard drive. So I clicked on that and it says, well, it might be because your hard drive is your BIOS is in secure mode, so it's hiding the hard drive, or it might be because you need to install drivers for the SSD. So I thought, well, installing drivers for the SSD is going to be the more pain in the backside bit, because I'm going to have to go and download them, and then I'm going to have to stick them on a different USB because that one's already got the Windows on, that's already in progress. So I thought I'll just go back into the BIOS and I'll see if it's got secure boot and turn that off. So obviously I have to boot up into Windows, do the shift and restart thing, go to the screen, choose the BIOS, go into the BIOS, lo and behold, yes, it's in secure boot. So disable secure boot, reboot the laptop. Up comes the blue screen of death from Windows. It says, you've turned the secure boot off. So what we've done is we got this BitLocker shit, and it's locked your hard drive, and you need to put in this code to unlock your hard drive, which you won't have because you didn't lock it. And I'm like, thank you, Microsoft. So Bill Gates, if you are listening to this, but what it did say, if you like, you can ignore this hard drive. And I thought, well, if I ignore this hard drive, it's going to say you haven't got any more. But I thought I'd try it anyway, what the hell. And then it booted up to Windows, and then it says, put your little code in, what you have to set up, because when you installed the initial Windows, what came on the laptop, you had to open a Microsoft account, because you can't now have a laptop without a Microsoft account, because there's no option to bypass the thing. So I put my code in, and it says, your code doesn't work. And I'm like, yes, it does. So I put it in again, and it says your code doesn't work. Anyway, obviously my code no longer works because the hard drive has been locked by this BitLocker shit, right? So it says you need to reset up a new code. Click here, and it says, well, you ain't got internet because your Wi-Fi's turned off, because obviously you turned your Wi-Fi off because you were DJing, and you can't put your Wi-Fi back on because the thing to put the Wi-Fi back on is in Windows, and you can't go into Windows because you're locked out, and to get back in you need to put Wi-Fi on and set up a new code. But anyway, I was pressing a few buttons on the keyboard or whatever, and it seemed to turn the Wi-Fi back on. So I then got a code sent to my email and confirmed my email, and then confirmed another code, and blah de blah, and set up a new code which wasn't the same as the code before. Come back into Windows, did the shift and restart thing, went back on the USB drive, booted into it, but I obviously now downloaded myself a driver for the SSD. So it come up to the screen where it just select your hard drive. Obviously can't find one. Have you got a driver? Yes, here's the driver. So I put the driver on, and it then comes up and it says, here's your hard drive. And it says, oh, cheers, brilliant. It says, but you ain't installing it on there because you can't install it on that hard drive. And I'm like, well, why? So you click on it and it says you can't install it on this hard drive because this hard drive is encrypted with BitLocker shit. So anyway, I had to reboot Windows and then try and find out how to get rid of this BitLocker. And anyway, I did some research on the internet, and it says if you go into the little search thing in your bottom of your Windows and you type in manage BitLocker, it will bring up a thing for your hard drive, and then you could basically turn off BitLocker on that hard drive and decrypt it. I did that, and the installer Windows, what comes with this is obviously an MSI version of Windows, and what they'd done is they made it impossible. There wasn't an option on there to unlock the drive or to turn off BitLocker on the drive. The only option was basically send your BitLocker code to the Microsoft account, so you can get it from your Microsoft account if you ever get locked out. So I'm thinking now the only way I'm going to install Windows on this with a fresh install is basically with a new hard drive. But now I did some browsing around on the computer, and somehow I managed to find some generic screen for BitLocker, which it says unlock this device, which was talking about the computer, and I did that and it unlocked the hard drive, and then it says I could decrypt it. So I decrypted it, and then I basically did the shift and restart thing, went into the setup. Yep, set up on this partition because I've got the driver now. So it started setting up all the windows and all that thing, right? And then it obviously comes to the bit where it says now you've got to log in or set up a Microsoft account for your computer. And I'm like, well, I want an offline account like you used to have on like Windows 7 and whatnot. Anyway, I went on the internet, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here. There is basically, if you push Shift and F10, you get the command prompt. So when it comes up and it starts saying log into your Microsoft account, right, or set up your Microsoft account, and there's no option to skip it, if you press Shift and F10, I think it's Shift and F10, and then put in the code that I'm going to put up, then basically what that does is it brings up an option then to do a local account, and then it reboots and then it reinstalls Windows, which I've done. So I've now got a fresh install of Windows, and it's got the bare minimum on it. What I've done is I've gone into the power plan, and what you used to have is you used to have an high performance power plan on Windows 7 and a balanced one and a shit one, right? And the high performance one's not 100% high performance. You edit it and make it 100% high performance. Well, this one, it just comes with balanced. So you create a new plan called high performance, and then what it got in there, it got the PCI Express, which obviously is running the GPU, and it's also running the hard drive. Well, basically it was set for like battery consumption, the most battery consumption. So I've basically turned off that function so that it's got the most power, and basically doesn't save the environment, because you buy a £1,500 retail gaming laptop with a fast processor, a reasonable amount of RAM, and a really good GPU, so you can run it really, really slowly and save the environment, and Greta Thunberg will be your best friend. Of course you do. So here it is now running Virtual DJ 2025. I've been in all the performance settings. I've got the stem sets that are on demand, so when I load it in, it scans for stems, and if I push the button, or a cappella button or a stems button, it will actually do the stems on the fly. So it's using the GPU to process the stems when it loads up, so that's doing the background. On that laptop, or the other one of that laptop, what was happening, as soon as I loaded the track, it was 100% maxing out the processor trying to process the stems, and then it was getting all sorts of audio glitches and stuff. So I had to set it so that the stems was basically permanently off, and then you'd go and manually process the stems, where you just drop them down into the little stems thing and it manually processed it. But on that laptop, when you did that, it was taking like half an hour to process one song. Whereas this one, you drop it in there, it's done like in a few seconds, and on the fly it does it instantly. And now that I've installed Windows 11 with no bloatware on it, and I didn't even have to install any drivers because Windows 11 installed all the drivers themselves. And what I did notice is on the OEM install what came on it, the inbuilt sound card had got two drivers. Yep, it got a driver for the sound card, and it got a driver, some kind of software what adds, like, you know, basically an EQ over the top of it, right? And also I did notice when I set Virtual DJ to basically have sole control of the sound, then that was causing more glitches on the inbuilt sound card, and I think that was because it was having an argument with that driver stroke software. But anyway, I've not got that now. I've just basically got the standard the standard driver for the inbuilt sound, and not the secondary driver for that stupid control panel, which basically has EQ and shit on there, which you don't need because I'm not even going to use that sound card anyway. And then obviously now I've just got the bare essentials drivers. There is also a software called MSI Center which came on the laptop, and what MSI Center allowed you to do, it allowed you to put the computer in high performance mode or balance mode or shit mode. But when you put it in high performance mode, I did notice in the BIOS it was still in balance mode, so I've changed it in the BIOS to high performance mode, and I've not reinstalled the MSI Center. The other thing the MSI Center did was this keyboard here, you control various zones in different RGBs and stuff. Well, I did set this up to red before I reinstalled Windows, and I've not reinstalled the MSI Center, and I thought the keyboard's not going to work, but what I've noticed, there's another partition for MSI on the hard drive, and it obviously stores whatever setup you made in the MSI Center for your keyboard in there, because it's kind of got a file what it's put into my Windows directory just for the keyboard configuration. So it is red, but obviously if I want to change it I have to put the MSI Center on there. But I believe that MSI Center, which seemed to be running in the processes in the background all the while, may have been a part of the latency issues, so it's not going back on. But anyway, now that's all installed on there. Yeah. To be honest, I've only put 2 directories of chart music from promo only onto this laptop, because I'm gonna obviously, when I've established that this works, which I pretty much have, I'm going to be ordering a 4 terabyte hard drive for the music, and then installing that, and I'm also going to be installing extra RAM, and obviously that involves opening up the laptop, and then obviously I'm going to have to delete those because they'll be also on the hard drive. So this is kind of temporary music just to test it out, so I'm limited to not a lot of songs. So I hope you like the Backstreet Boys. Yeah. So obviously this works really well now, and what I can do is, while that's playing, now I can go over onto this one here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to keep loading those different songs in another deck, which obviously this is when I'm doing that is also buffering up the stems, so if anything's going to cause any issues, that's going to be that. And as you can see, it's not bothering it at all. There we go. Going here though. See, it's not bothering it whatsoever. And then another thing is, now that's actually doing stems on the fly, so I can just go. So anyway, what I've got to do now is I've got to basically order some extra RAM for this. Might go 32 gig. I did notice in the task manager that it's only using 30% of the 16 gig, but obviously 32 gig is going to be more than ample then. And what I'm also going to do is obviously put the 4 terabyte secondary hard drive in for all the music, and I'm also going to get a really fast one of those. So I'm going to order those, get those fitted, and then do some more testing, and then it's going to basically go out on the road and replace that. Then that's just going to be a backup laptop. What I've also done is, obviously with the Rane 4, which I've got here now, I've got this case, and I've got it with a shelf on here, because the idea is the playout laptop will go there and my DMX laptop will go there. Then I'm running this into the SQ5 desk, so I've got left and right there in the SQ5 desk, and then that is going off into me DBX drive rack PA2 there, and that's going down to the OTK MC2 E100 amplifier down there. I'm running just mono out of this at the moment because I'm just testing with one speaker. But obviously normally run stereo out into 2 channels into that and 2 speakers. But yeah, that is that setup. That is gonna be my new setup. I've got a little bit of a problem here. It's there's interfering with that, but obviously you can bring the shelf forward, but when you bring the shelf forward you can't get to the selecty buttons down there, which is a bit annoying. But I think the solution to that would be this bar here, which obviously is stopping that going back any further. There's some more bars down there which the table goes against. Well, what I think I might do is put something on the bars or the back of the table, so the table will basically be out slightly more here and not slide back towards the booth. So when somebody bashes that, it's not going to bash my laptop. But anyway, thanks for watching. New video probably be on the way where I'm going to basically be upgrading that, so stick around for that. And I'm also been, not in here because I ain't got the room in here, I've been in my conservatory setting up a load of lighting truss and a load of light, because I'm reprogramming my DMX at the same time as doing all this stuff here. So I'm also going to make a video on basically what lights I use, just in case you're interested. Anyway, cheers for watching.